It was a typical night for 10-year-old Jake. He had spent the day exploring his backyard, riding his bike, and playing video games with his friends. But as he drifted off to sleep, he had no idea that he was about to wake up on Mars. Jake opened his eyes and sat up, rubbing the sleep from them. He looked around, and his eyes widened in disbelief. He wasn't in his bedroom anymore. In fact, he wasn't even on Earth. The ground beneath him was a rusty red color, and the sky was a deep orange. The air was thin and cold, and he could feel his breath coming out in visible puffs. For a moment, Jake thought he was still dreaming. But as he looked around, he realized that he was wide awake. And he was definitely not in Kansas anymore. As he got to his feet, Jake took a closer look at his surroundings. The landscape was barren and rocky, with towering red mountains in the distance. There were no trees, no grass, no animals. Just endless red dirt and rocks as far as the eye could see. Jake was terrified. He had no idea how he had gotten here or how he was going to get back home. But he knew he had to keep his wits about him if he was going to survive. He started walking, not sure where he was going, but knowing he needed to keep moving. After a few minutes, he saw something in the distance. It was a small, rectangular structure, and it looked like it might be some kind of shelter. Jake quickened his pace, feeling a glimmer of hope. As he got closer, he saw that the structure was made of metal and had a door that slid open. He stepped inside, and his heart lifted as he saw that there was air to breathe and a light source. He walked around the small room, taking it all in. There was a bed, a table, and a chair. There were also some strange machines and devices that he didn't recognize. As he was exploring, he heard a voice coming from one of the machines. It was crackly and distorted, but he could make out the words. "Hello? Can anyone hear me?" Jake's heart leapt with excitement. He ran to the machine and pressed a button, hoping to establish a connection. "Hello? Who's there?" he said. "Is someone there?" the voice said again. "This is the Mars colony. Who are you? How did you get here?" Jake explained his situation, and the voice on the other end seemed just as amazed as he was. They told him that they had been trying to establish contact with Earth for weeks, but they had no idea that there was a human child on the planet. The Mars colony instructed Jake to stay put and wait for a rescue team to come and get him. They told him that he would be safe in the shelter and that they would be monitoring him from their base. For the next few days, Jake stayed in the shelter, trying to make sense of his bizarre situation. He spent most of his time exploring the small room and playing with the machines. He even found a device that allowed him to watch movies and TV shows, which helped pass the time. Eventually, a rescue team arrived to take him back to Earth. They told him that they had no idea how he had ended up on Mars, but they were amazed that he had survived on his own for so long. Jake returned home to a hero's welcome. His story was all over the news, and he was interviewed by journalists from all over the world. He became an overnight celebrity, with people wanting to know how he had managed to survive on Mars. Jake didn't have all the answers, but he knew that his experience had changed him forever. He had a newfound appreciation for the fragility of life and the wonder of the universe. He had seen things that most people could only dream of, and he knew that he had been given a rare opportunity to explore a world that few humans had ever set foot on. As he settled back into his life on Earth, Jake found that he had a newfound interest in science and space exploration. He read books about astronauts and space travel, and he watched documentaries about the universe. He even started dreaming of becoming an astronaut himself one day. Jake's adventure on Mars had sparked a curiosity and thirst for knowledge that he couldn't ignore. He wanted to know more about the universe and the secrets it held. And he knew that the best way to do that was to pursue his dream of becoming an astronaut. Years later, Jake graduated from college with a degree in astrophysics. He had spent his years studying the universe and learning everything he could about space travel. And he was finally ready to take the next step in his journey. Jake applied to NASA's astronaut program and was accepted. He spent years training and preparing for his mission, learning how to pilot spacecraft and survive in hostile environments. And finally, he was given the chance to return to Mars. This time, Jake wasn't alone. He was part of a team of scientists and astronauts who were tasked with exploring the planet and discovering its secrets. They spent months living and working on Mars, conducting experiments and studying the geology of the planet. And as he looked out at the vast expanse of the Martian landscape, Jake felt a sense of awe and wonder that he had never experienced before. He knew that he was lucky to be alive and to have the opportunity to explore such an incredible place. Jake's adventure on Mars had changed him forever. It had opened his eyes to the wonders of the universe and inspired him to pursue his dreams. And he knew that he would never forget the feeling of waking up on a strange and alien world, with nothing but his wits and his courage to guide him.